Well, our governor is always speaking out about marijuana. He says, oh, it's a social experiment. He kind of chuckles, and he never really comes out against it. Because when he was losing in the election, he had a huge fundraiser by the marijuana industry. Made millions of dollars. You can just Google it.
Politicians willing to throw away lives for money.
Literally, the youth, the citizens of Colorado and all the other legalized states are being experimented on. And Governor Hickenlooper will say, let the experiment continue.
Our governor said it's a great social experiment, an experiment put into play by people who didn't establish any guidelines for that experiment. When you experiment, you have criteria, you have guidelines, you have data, and you track the data to see if it's successful or not successful. And we continue to get from our governor's office, well, we can't tell you the cost, we don't know.
We're figuring this out as we go, as people and their lives are really impacted by it.
The studies are very clear. This experiment has not worked.
The generation right now is the experiment.
Marijuana is nothing more than tobacco 2.0. If you want to know what's going to happen with the marijuana industry in the United States, go back and look at tobacco at the turn of the century. From the turn of the century to the 80s.
Almost no one smokes anymore because of the education that has come out. If we just had that before this happened.
Do the research yourself. Don't trust me. Do the research yourself. Independent research, look at it.
We can't just throw a bunch of volunteer people at a project and give them an hour a year or a semester and then say, well, that prevention failed.
The biggest way to prevent is education.
The numbers dropped and dropped and dropped in 20 years of prevention, and now they're on the increase. Is that the direction that we want to go in?
We lost the war on drugs, so let's legalize it. Well, we haven't lost the war on murder, right? We haven't eradicated murder, but it's still illegal, right? That's just a silly argument. Yes, did we eradicate marijuana? No, absolutely not. But we did keep it to a maintenance level in a community. And that segued with our moral compass of society. And I think that's what nobody's talking about. When you normalize this type of behavior, you accept the byproducts of what happens.
Switzerland has 1% to 2% youth drug use in schools. 1% to 2%. And guess what? They're concerned about that. They want it lower. Whereas in Colorado, we're looking at over 20% of youth drug use in our high schools. And these folks come over here to see what we're doing, and they can't even comprehend that we're okay with that.
This is not your grandpa's weed. This is not our weed from the 80s. This is a drug.
It's a Trojan horse that's imploding America.
We're creating a monster that we already can't control.
It will weaken our nation, weaken our workforce, weaken our students, our educational system, our ability to move forward and be on the world stage. It's going to devastate our nation if we don't get this turned around very quickly.